Kiah and Tristan, congratulations on Wormwood. For those who have never heard of your film, can you just briefly describe it for us?
Oh my God. Tristan, do you want me to take this one?
All yours, brother. Over to you.
It is Mad Max versus Dawn of the Dead. It's like if somebody took a lawnmower to the genre, the zombie genre, and then pumped it up to 11, and pumped it up full of zombie methane gas, and then lit it up and blew its head off. That's how I would describe this film. It's a genre mashup. It's our entry into the Australian canon of zombie films, post Spearig Brothers Undead. So I guess that would sum it up, yeah.
Well, zombies have always been popular, but never have they been as popular as they are now. Why?
Well, I reckon that's got a lot to do with The Walking Dead. I reckon that really lifted the bar and brought Zombie Nation into the mainstream because, you know, everyone has always sort of liked zombies a little bit, but, you know, they're pretty hardcore sort of zombie fans. But now, with Walking Dead, everyone, I mean, people who generally like romantic comedies and stuff will still watch Walking Dead and love it.
But I think there's something about the zombie genre where, you know, everybody's obsessed with first-person shoot-em-ups and all of that. I think there's something in the human psyche that says, you know, if suddenly all of the people in the world turned into zombies, I'm able to shoot my neighbour in the face with a double-barrel shotgun with impunity. And I think there's a dark part of people that just want to go out and be crazy, you know. And I think if there's a zombie apocalypse, you can go out and you get yourself a shotgun and you can go crazy and do all the things you're supposed to not do, you know, when the world is normal. So I think, you know, the zombie genre is just it's an excuse for people to fantasize about all the crazy stuff they've ever wanted to do. And, you know, I guess we put all of that into a film with Wormwood, you know. So I think that's why people like it, yeah.
And why did you go for the mix of horror and comedy? Why not just go for straight horror?
Well, we started shooting it like a straight horror. We started shooting this really bleak, dark thing. And at the end of the day, me and Tristan, I don't know, we've just got a weird sense of humour. And to be honest, like, you get bored with 95 minutes of straight horror. Like, we screened some of the early stuff that we shot to audiences, and we're just not getting any laughs. And we like to make films that make audiences jump up and down and laugh and have a great time. And it was inevitable that our first film would sort of end up turning into a bit of an action adventure, and that's what happened, you know. We just didn't want to make another bleak, depressing, scary film, you know. And all our favourite films have big laughs. Like Dawn of the Dead's a classic. Like
Evil Dead 2 Ash in Evil Dead 2, Bruce Campbell, that guy just cracked me up, and we wanted to make something like that.
On the one hand, your average zombie fan wants to see, you know, all of the conventions there. There's a roster of things that they expect to see. At the same time, they want to be surprised. So was that the biggest challenge for you guys, to both indulge the zombie movie conventions as well as adding a few original twists?
I don't know. I reckon we came up. We were pretty lucky that we thought of a pretty original hook right from the outset. Like we sort of thought about making the zombies breathe out this methane gas so that the cars in the film could be powered by the zombies themselves. And we knew that had never been done. And we knew that, like, with the production design that we had in mind, we could make that sort of an instant success that would already get that sort of interest. But yeah, definitely. As we went along, we wanted to sort of throw as much in there as we could and just get it awesome, you know.
I mean, the other thing too is, like, it is the most oversaturated genre in the world. Like, people are absolutely sick of zombie films, and everybody's seen it all before. So we really just tried to think up all the things that would make it interesting. You know, like, are we going to have fast zombies like in 28 Days Later? Are we going to have slow zombies like in Dawn of the Dead? Let's have them both. They're fast at night and slow during the day. You know, so we really tried to put in as many hooks as we can. And then, you know, we've got a girl telepathically controlling the zombies halfway through, and we really just tried to pour as much imagination and originality into it as we could, because we knew we were dealing with a stale genre, you know.
The telepathy stuff worked really well, but I just want to get some authorship over whose genius idea it was to turn zombies into an alternative fuel source.
That's Tristan. That was Tristan. Oh, we should claim that.
I can't take all the credit. VB did have a little bit to do with that. I had a couple of beers when the thought popped into my head.
Because usually when thoughts pop into your head after a couple of beers.
And then, I was like, I can't wait to get home and tell Kiah. So I ran over to his house and was like, mate, how about we make our zombies breathe out this methane gas, and our cars are powered from the methane. He was just like, that is genius. Let's do it. And we just had it from
when he told me that, I laughed so hard that I fell down on the floor, and I was like, let's start writing it now. That's the hook. That's the film. I thought it was the craziest idea I've ever heard. It was just genius.
What are some of the films, TV shows, and books that have inspired you?
Oh God, where to begin?
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, have you got, do we have 20 minutes?
Let's see if you can do it in 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I'm going to say Evil Dead 2 and Bad Taste. I love those two movies. Awesome.
Mad Max, Dawn of the Dead, the books that really influenced Wormwood particularly was basically anything by Stephen King, Firestarter and all that kind of stuff, because he's got such imagination. But very much Richard Matheson's I Am Legend was a massive influence there too. So, yeah, I guess that they'd be the main ones.
Now, is there meant to be a subtext?
And Little House on the Prairie.
Okay. Is there meant to be a subtext to Wormwood? Because a lot of the early zombie films by George A. Romero had some sort of commentary about society at the time. Is your film intended to be taken in any way seriously?
There is a subtext, but it's not a big global one. See, the great thing about Romero's thing is it's about the destruction of society and the breakdown of morals and all that kind of stuff. Wormwood, at the end of the day, is about your family and your mates. Because what it comes down to is when you've lost everything, what do you got but your mates and your family? And there's nothing more Australian than that. So we wanted to keep it simple in that respect.
Leon Burchell is very funny in this film.
So good.
Yeah, but we live in a culture where you can't cast an Indigenous actor in a film without people looking for some sort of deep meaning in that. Is there meant to be anything deep and meaningful about his casting, or did you just cast him because he was a funny guy?
That part wasn't written for an Indigenous person. It was just a role, and we looked around for the best person to play it, and Leon is just the most charismatic and fun person ever. And when he came on board, that role just changed because he's such an interesting person, and there's so much richness there that we ended up adding a whole bunch of Indigenous stuff, and he was able to speak in his language from up in Cairns. And, you know, we added the whole backstory with his brothers. None of that was in there. So he really, he grew that character. I mean,
it was his idea to get a number 7 killer boomerang in there as well. So that was Leon's idea.
Now, guys, what do you want to achieve with this? The film's doing very well at the festivals. What's the best scenario outcome for you?
Personally, if I get to make another film, I win. That's all I want. I want to make another film and then another one.
Dude, I'm already blown away with the response that we've got from it.
In 2010, when we started this film, I thought maybe we might even have to just chuck it on YouTube. I didn't even know that we'd sort of get a distributor and stuff. So all this stuff is just amazing. It's blowing our minds. Originally,
you were going to do this thing in 6 months with about 20 grand. It ended up taking... It ended up taking 3.5 years and with around 150 grand. How did you maintain the will to film over a sporadic schedule stretching over 3.5 years?
How do we do it?
You know what? For me, what kept me going was just like every time we shot a scene, Kiah would sit down and he'd edit that scene together. So any time like Willpower started to ebb, just somehow Kiah would just be like, hey, oh, by the way, I've done this edit, check this out, and I come over and you'd watch it and you'd be like, oh, this is amazing. Let's get right back into it and keep going. That was for me personally.
It was a pretty good way to make a film, actually, because we'd shoot something and then we'd wait a couple of months to save some money to film again, and then we'd wait a couple of months to film again. And so we'd have so many weeks and months to rehearse and think about stuff and do rewrites. And every time we finished the scene, because we basically shot it chronologically, every time we were like, okay, the next scene has to be better, and the next scene has to be better, and you know, the end scene isn't good enough now because we've raised the bar so high. So we really just kept, you know, beating ourselves sort of up into, like, huge... it just got bigger and bigger and bigger as we shot. So the original script is actually a lot smaller, and what we ended up with was just this gargantuan, massive stuff that took 3.5 years. So I don't know how we did it. Like, I look back and I look at the film, and I'm like, no, I don't know. But I guess, you know, we've got, I guess I'm a bit, you know, obsessive compulsive, and so is my brother, and we weren't going to stop until we finished, and that was just the way it was.
And how important was crowdfunding?
That was pretty important. I reckon that got us probably close to a third of our actual cash budget that we had. So it was very important, you know. Like, we probably sort of couldn't have done it without it, and it really helped us sort of get our presence out there. It was a good sort of way to spread the word, which was great.
Well, there were points where we had no money. We spent all our money, and crowdfunding allowed us to keep filming, which is so important. But the thing with crowdfunding is, like, because they have such a huge reach and, like, they've got a big mailing list, you put your crowdfunding campaign out there, and suddenly people are emailing you from Poland going, this film looks amazing. When's it coming out? And emailing from America and Texas and Bulgaria and England, and it's like you get a fan base from something like that. So it was just amazing to have fans of the film before the film was even finished. And that's a great, you know, the age we live in with the internet and stuff. It's a great time for filmmakers, you know.
Now, you made this film with a lot of help and support of friends and favours, and presumably a bit of prayer as well. Now, what about your next film? Is this the case of once but never again, or would you make another film in the same way if you had to?
If we had to, we'd do it. But we're hoping that we can get a budget together for the next one and just be able to pay people up front, you know. But of course, if we had to do this again, there's nothing stopping us from making our next film.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because it took 4 years and I'm tired. I don't know if I've got another Wormwood in me, man. You know, it's just difficult stuff. I'd rather not spend 4 years on a film. I'd like to just bang one out in a year. But you know what? It's like we love this. There's nothing more fun that you can do in the world than filmmaking, and it's just amazing that we get an opportunity to do it. So it doesn't really matter how we make the next film. I'm just amazed that we're going to have another opportunity to make another film. And the next film, I'm so excited about it. It's like an R-rated Ghostbusters set in Australia, and it's going to be mental. So I'm really looking forward to getting into that one. Well, we're halfway through the screenplay, and my God, yeah, you've never seen anything like it. So it's going to have, we're going to do for ghosts and the paranormal what we did for zombies in Wormwood. So it's going to be very, I cannot wait to start doing sort of pre-production on that. It's like, oh God, it's fun. Can I just do a shout out to my mum too, because she did a lot of catering on the film, and we ruined her shed while making this film, and she's been very supportive.
I heard you shot it up.
Same with Dad too. Yeah, we did.
Okay.
We did.
Has it been repaired yet, or will it be repaired once the ghosts come in?
The whole but it's just aeration for the shed, you know, keeps things.
And guys, how are you funding your second film? You're going to ask the government for a bit of help, or you're going to go private?
Yeah, no, Screen Australia and private, I think. Screen Australia are really happy with what we've done so far, and they're a big help to us getting our post-production done for Wormwood.
Okay.
They seem really positive about our next project too. We've sort of sounded them out. And
we had a meeting with them, and we told them what we wanted to do, and they're just like, that sounds very interesting, keep us informed. Yeah. And it was they're like, yeah, that sounds totally cool. So yeah, Screen Australia has been a massive help to us, yeah. Yes. Well, it was taken very seriously in the 70s, obviously. You know, we were like one of the forerunners for genre filmmaking, especially low-budget action-type stuff. That all sort of changed, you know, in the 80s and stuff. But now it's coming back in a big way. With Screen Australia, they were tracking us for years, since about 2010, actually. But once we finished our first rough cut and we were able to get distribution with Studio Canal, which still blows my mind. It's such a huge company. Screen Australia were able to jump on board and actually fund our post-production, which really turned it from like a backyard film into something that looks like a real film. So it really did make all the difference. So yeah, they really backed us in a big way.
Now, you guys use the Steadicam on this film, yet there are a lot of shots that fall into your standard shaky cam style. Now, as filmmakers, why did you opt for rough over smooth?
Can I answer this one, Tristan?
Certainly can.
Okay, it's funny you should mention the Steadicam. Our DOP, who's the amazingly talented Timothy Nagel, was learning how to use Steadicam for the entire time we were shooting, and he actually took me aside later on and he said, look, mate, I'll be honest, I only really learned how to use it in the last week of filming. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. But it looks good. Like, all the Steadicam looks fantastic. But as for the shaky cam, like, we were doing like 100 setups a day, which is mental, and like, you just don't have time to make it look good, you know. So unfortunately, we had to do most of it handheld, because in order to get, you know, sort of 60 to 80 to 100 setups a day, you got to go so quick. And so it's very, you know, we had no focus pullers. Tim was doing the focus himself, so it kind of goes in and out of focus. So there's a lot of rough stuff there in terms of cinematography, but it really was because of the low budget. And that, I like, you know, I could pretend that that's a look we were going for, but it was really a look we were stuck with because of the budget, you know. But it's okay. And I think some people get a little bit seasick watching it, but hey, it is what it is.
Well, guys, listen, for the record, I want to make it very clear that even if it was a happy accident, the style certainly suits the film. I was just keen to know about that stylistic choice, that's all. I've just got this on...
Oh, God, I wish I'd lied and told you it was a stylistic choice now. Damn it.
I might edit around that and make it sound so.
Can I redo that?
Well, keep it as it is. It's too good a quote. Now, listen, just quickly...